Running a Fever, episode 367. Quality, not quantity. Previously on Running a Fever. The glycemic index. Now, what is the glycemic index and why do we care about it? I'm going to abbreviate that GI maybe. It's a ranking of carbohydrates on a scale from 0 to 100 according to the extent to which they raise blood sugar, also known as glucose levels, after eating. This is also called glycemia, which is the amount of blood sugar that you have. Foods with a high GI are those which are rapidly digested, absorbed, and metabolized, and result in marked fluctuations in glucose levels. A diet including low GI carbohydrates, the ones that produce smaller fluctuations in your blood glucose and insulin levels, is one of the secrets to long-term health, reducing your risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease. It is also one of the keys to maintaining weight loss. Now, the glycemicindex.com site is maintained by the University of Sydney, and you can go there and also you'll get evidence there of the statements about weight loss and diabetes and heart disease. I think that the way this works and the reason that blood sugar is important in reducing those fluctuations, the spikes in your blood sugar, is puts stress on your liver, which has to process all of this stuff. I remember my dietitian, telling me that the liver is regulating blood sugar. For example, at night when you're not eating any food, it still gives you enough food to do your body to have your body function because it's regulating that. So the regulator is stressed, and unlike muscle stress, it doesn't do you any good. This isn't a good type of stress. So that's one of the reasons. So, this is important to us whether you have diabetes or not. We already know that an increase in fiber has a dramatic effect, like a 30% effect on mortality rates due to heart disease. So what are the different types of oatmeal? Now, oatmeal, my dietitian has told me, is a superfood. And so it's really healthy to eat, right? It's a low glycemic index food, but I started months ago in eating oatmeal, and I was eating the instant oatmeal. I tried some of the flavored stuff like the maple, cinnamon oatmeal, and a lot of that has sugar in it. It's okay. It's just got sugar, so you got to be careful. And then usually what I'll do is I'll take the plain oatmeal. The instant is only 100 calories, right? And, I may put a little smart balance in there, depending on my calorie intake that I'm shooting for. I might put berries in there or some kind of nuts to add to it. So it's very good. And I've been doing that for a long time, and I can eat it almost every day. I don't really get tired of it. But then I heard, maybe rolled oats are actually better for you. The traditional oats that take longer to cook. Then, I always hear about these steel cut oats, and that's a thing, right? What are the different types of oatmeal and what are the differences? So steel cut oats are cut, not rolled. They look like rice. They look completely different than your other types of oatmeal. They take the longest to cook. I think it takes like an hour to cook. Just like rice, it takes a long time. It's a whole grain, and it has kind of a chewy consistency. Old-fashioned or rolled oats are steamed and rolled flat, so they look like little ovals, and they cook quicker than steel-cut oats, and not quite as quick as quick or instant oats, which are pre-cooked, dried, then rolled. They cook in a minute and has a kind of a mushy texture to it. So why do people like Dan Blue Zone Buettner recommend steel-cut oats? Now, it turns out that the three basic types of oatmeal have different GI numbers. Even though it's all oatmeal, they're different. Quick oats have the highest, 66. Steel-cut oats have the lowest at 42, and rolled oats are in the middle with 59. So, if you want the lowest GI and, the best benefits of all these, glycemic index factors like, weight loss and diabetes and preventing heart disease, then you want to go with the steel cut oats, right? They're the winner. In any event, any kind of oatmeal's probably pretty good for you, but the steel cut, it's a 42. That's a pretty good GI, I think. So it takes more time to prepare the steel cut oats, but you can mitigate this by preparing several meals in advance. As I've talked about doing, I've done this quite a bit. You go ahead and cook it, freeze it, thaw it the night before, nuke them for a minute, and you're ready to go. So make a bunch of those meals in advance and won't seem to be that much trouble per meal. Welcome to Running a Fever. My name is Michael Davis. This is a podcast about fitness, diet, and medicine. My goal is to live a long, healthy, happy, active life right up to the very end. And I want to do it by loving my life enough to make it last as long as possible. And welcome to the 82nd in our series, Shattering the Yo-Yo, in which we look back at the successful times in the past to glean some information we can use to better our health today. Today's review is from the diet department. Episode 110 was what I called a Monday special back then. It is a studio recorded episode about a particular topic, usually just a few minutes long. I was releasing 2 episodes a week at the time, on Wednesdays and Fridays, both recorded during exercise. The relatively rare Monday specials were in addition to the bi-weekly ones. This one is short, as was typical, so I've included most of it in the previously on section of the current episode. I wanted to play this episode for you, and here's why. This is one of the most beneficial episodes for me to make for myself in terms of my diet health. We've talked about how a no diet is no diet. But the popular diets usually are based on certain foods being off limits and sometimes other foods being eaten in large quantities. In other words, it's about the quantity, not the quality. Take the keto diet, for example. We discussed this in a recent episode. It's about the fat. You eat lots of fat and almost no carbs. But diet plans rarely seem to talk about the qualitative aspects of food as much as the quantitative aspects. We need carbs, people, and if you're going to have them, you want to have the best carbs for your health. The glycemic index is one way to rate these foods, so you have a balanced diet and eat well at the same time. Now, I keep forgetting whether high is good or low is good on this scale. Low is good. Think of it as a speedometer. The higher your speed, the faster you're going. We want the body to absorb our food slowly and steadily to avoid spikes in blood sugar. It's good to remember that oatmeal is a superfood. I still eat it quite often for breakfast, but I found a great new product from a company called Better Oats. It is steel-cut oats, actual steel-cut oats, but they cook in 2.5 minutes in the microwave. So you get the benefits of a low glycemic index food with the convenience of the other kinds of oatmeal that can be prepared much quicker. Keep that glycemic index in mind, and for heaven's sake, eat your oatmeal. It's a superfood, and it's delicious. I hope you've learned something today. I sure did. And as always, if you have the fever, keep it burning, and if you don't, catch the fever. And I will talk to you next time on Running a Fever.